Hello, this is Sudarshana Starshine Star. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here with me. It's a beautiful Thursday, May 23rd, the last day of the full moon, and I felt to read some news from Real Raw News written by Michael Baxter. And yes, for some people, they have asked me, years ago, this used to be a less trustworthy site. Even some would say more of a parody account. But it was taken over by white hats. And it is one of the ways that some news behind the scenes gets to come out for we the people. Because I'm hoping that most of you listening to this know by now that mainstream media, MSM, is completely full of malarkey and lies. Watching television, news, mainstream newspapers, reading magazines like The Economist or Time or Newsweek, you could just forget about that. And for those of you who are unaware, which I can't believe there are that many still left unaware, but I guess there are. We're really in the Second American Revolution, and we have been for several years now. However, this time, during this American Revolution, we're going to do it properly. By we, I included myself. Even though I'm not actively physically fighting, I am fighting digitally and spiritually and emotionally and mentally. But it is a war between dark and light. It is much bigger than, of course, just America. It's worldwide. We're in truly, you could say World War IV if you count the Cold War as World War III. Or if you don't count the Cold War, you could say World War III. We are in the Fourth Reich. And that is the truth. The first time that we had the American Revolution, it wasn't really successful. We, as America, we didn't know that in 1776 we really were not granted our freedom as colonists under the Crown of England. That continued on. We were still fighting in 1781 for our freedom. I say we, I'm putting myself back there, of course. I know that I wasn't, I don't know if I had a lifetime there, but I'm just using we were still fighting in 1781, and even the War of 1812 was about fighting for our freedom. If you want to see a good source on that, look up Sheila Holm, Holm. She has written several books on this, giving lots of facts and details, and she's wonderful. Anytime I suggest any of you to look up anything, I hope that you know that all the browsers, mainstream media browsers, are corrupted. We're heavily censored underneath everything. Even the independent browsers are corrupted to some extent. But you have a much larger chance of getting some real information and connections on using independent browsers. So I suggest don't use Google, don't use Wikipedia to get quote-unquote facts. It's laughable. Use Bing, B-I-N-G, or it's also called Brave browser. And then from there, once you're on Bing or Brave browser, then type in the space bar where you want to go. So it's like you have to use a double path to get to what you need. I've suggested such sites as Rumble, RUMBLE.com, or BitChute, BIT, CHUTE. YouTube still has some very good clips on it, even though there's a lot of censorship there. It's surprising how much you can still find on YouTube. Those are just a few things I've put out there. So there you go. Free Spoke, FREESPOKE, is another good app and browser to use if you want to access information. On that one, you're not tracked either. So that's really good. Anyway, I always like to start my clips with the 3 opening prayers. The Guru Mantra, the Ganesha Mantra, and the Gayatri Mantra. They're short, they're in Sanskrit and Telugu. It blesses, purifies, sanctifies, and protects you, me, and this clip. Okay. Om, Om, Om. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha. Guru Sakshat Parabrahmam Tasmahi Sri Guruvena Namaha. Om Suklam Bharataram Vishnum Sishivarnam Chatubhujam Prasanavaranam Dhyaye Sarva Vigno Prashante. Om Bhur Suvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Naha Prachodayat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. All right, I'm going to put this on my TikTok. Mahakali Yeshua 9. Username is at Sudarshana Starshine Star 909. I'm going to put this on my main YouTube channel, which is called It's the Dazzling of the Light, or just type in at Sudarshana Starshine Star to access the clips there. This is from Real Raw News. It's from May 21st, written by Michael Baxter. The title of it is Special Forces Assault FEMA Houston Office, Slaughter Gun-Grabbing Agents. I just want to make a quick note before I read this that, FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency, is highly corrupted. They're like much of the agencies that are working for the dark side. They are working against we the people of the United States. We have, a terrible situation here, and it's going on across the world. It's going on everywhere. Everywhere you see that governments and royalty and ruling positions, which have been sourced by dark force energy. They're satanic. Their allegiance is to the dark. I feel like I'm in a Star Wars movie saying this, but it's true. Their allegiance is to the dark forces of Satan, and it does go back to ancient satanic ruling papal bloodlines and bloodlines that came out of Sumer and Babylonia that infiltrated, and they went through Egypt and ancient Rome, and we have the same bloodlines that have been ruling. So it was a big secret to we the people. We were not aware of this. And we've been really MK Ultra'd and brainwashed, and especially in America. And we really have been, for the most part, largely unaware of this. So FEMA, who's supposed to be helping people, like you get your property and your home leveled by a tornado, flooding, earthquakes, forest fires, whatever, they're supposed to be helping, but that's not what they do. They go in, they don't even bring food, like the MREs, the meals ready to eat, and bottles of water or something, or blankets to help people who are in shock, who've lost everything, who've maybe had family members killed, friends, animals, everything. They don't bring them water. What they've been doing, and they've been caught doing this several times, is they're carrying huge caches of guns and armaments, and they go in and they terrorize people. So they go in and they act like, we're coming to your door, and people welcome them. They think, or what was left of their door. Oh yes, FEMA's here. They're going to help us. Instead, they bully the people, sometimes even kill them. They have the weapons trained on them and other dastardly things they do. They search the home for jewelry, gold. They confiscate all guns, cash, or what was left of the home, whatever they can find. They take it, and they're like really pirates. I'm not saying every single one of them is, but for the large part, they've been operating that way. So now I'm going to read this article, which once again is called Special Forces Assault FEMA Houston Office, Slaughter Gun-Grabbing Agents. United States Special Forces on Saturday assailed the Federal Emergency Management Agency's 17,000 square foot Houston office as managing supervisors and field agents huddled in a boardroom and plotted to unleash their armed Gestapo on Houstonians whose lives and livelihoods had just been wrecked by a destructive storm system's hurricane-force winds and biblical flooding, a source in General Smith's office told Real Raw News. Thursday's severe weather battered communities around southeast Texas, toppling trees like dominoes and leaving nearly 1 million residents without power amid an approaching heat wave. The hardest hit cities, Cypress, Baytown, Spring Branch, opened public cooling centers, distributed food and water, and helped triage the walking wounded, essentially integrating FEMA's responsibilities into their demanding agendas. Whereas local officials strove to ease public hysteria, the federal fanatics hoped to excite the chaos by terrorizing and plundering the citizenry, our source said. On Saturday morning, as cleanup began and CenterPoint Energy repaired transformers and replaced lines that had fallen under the weight of knocked down trees, a federal fifth columnist told General Smith that FEMA ne'er-do-wells had scheduled an unofficial meeting at a peculiar time of day at the agency's recently leased office in Northwest Houston. It wasn't a random tipster. It's a guy who has given us good intel before, but we're still leery of traps because the feds could have figured out he was a double agent and freed him to feed us bad intel. But General Smith knows FEMA's modus operandi and its history of authoritarian cruelty. We've been skirmishing with them all spring since the storm started breaking out. The general figured if the intel was valid, we'd grab or get rid of several leadership positions, our source said. General Smith, he added, asked allies at U.S. Army Special Operations Command to investigate the claim and respond to it. Using their best judgment, Special Forces first considered arriving early to ambush FEMA in the parking lot, but they ditched that idea because it was unlikely all participants would arrive simultaneously. They ruled out a full frontal assault. FEMA occupied the uppermost floor, 8th, and could post sentries at lower-level stairwells and elevators to warn attendees of intruders. They didn't want a protracted running firefight on the way upstairs. And the fifth columnist said the building had plenty of security cameras, too, our source said. They chose a helicopter insertion on the rooftop, which has an access point to the inside. At 1:30 p.m., pilots from the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, codenamed Night Stalkers, flying a Black Hawk, modified for stealth, deposited Special Forces on the roof of the 616 FM 1960 office building in Houston. After securing the roof and placing snipers on overwatch to head shoot any FEMA that happened to flee the building, the team breached the access door and descended the stairs to the 8th story, meeting no resistance en route and carefully sidestepping a few security cameras. They flanked a door to a boardroom wherein numerous voices jovially proposed grabbing guns from damaged dwellings, encouraging storm refugees to stay current on their, and I can't say this word, I'm going to say cracksinations and just put a V there. Okay? Special Forces kicked down the door and hurled flashbangs into the room, then charged in with weapons trained on the heads and torsos of the 9 FEMA workers who had suddenly fallen to their knees and covered their ears with their hands. The soldiers opened fire at once, killing 3 of the 9. The remaining 6 held their hands above their heads, with one shouting, "We're unarmed." 2 rounds hit him center mass and he dropped dead. "You should have armed yourselves then," the Special Forces lieutenant said. "Which of you is the leader here?" "You just killed him," a surviving FEMA agent said. "Who alive has the highest authority?" the lieutenant rephrased. "Well, I do, and you'll never get away with this," one stammered nervously. Special Forces gunned down all but the leader, whom they subdued before exfiltrating to the rooftop. The survivor, our source said, was brought to a white hat safe house for interrogation and fervently defended and promoted his political beliefs and the need to, quote, remove, end quote, guns from damaged households. He invoked volatile rhetoric, saying that the people having firearms to protect their homes no longer needed weapons because the storm had leveled their houses. In closing, we asked our source why white hats had acted like red hats, slaughtering instead of arresting the group. "These shots were good shots," was all he said. That's the end of the article, but I want to insert here for someone who doesn't know the title of red hats and think it's something referring to the knit MAGA hats that President Trump supporters wear. That's not what it is. Red hats have been given that name. They're a group of men who used to be good. They used to be white hats, and following the procedure that has been laid out by the military since the America has been under a COG, a continuity of government, since January 20, 2021, meaning arresting criminals and taking them to Gitmo or other places, giving them military tribunals, and then, if they're found guilty, judgment, which most often is death sentences. But the red hats are a group of the white hats who went kind of rogue, and they're very upset at what they think is the slowness of the justice of rooting out all the evil. So they're just going around like vigilante groups and taking care of evils themselves. And the white hats don't like this because they want to be able to show we the people that they did things correctly and under common law and not willy-nilly. It's important. Anyway, I'm going to close with a closing prayer. What I'm saying is, God bless all beings in all worlds. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yes, we're all mostly looking forward to peace. Peace, peace, peace. After these terrible battles are over and won by the goodly and godly, and we're cleaning up this whole earth realm of the really crazy, dark, hidden evil that has been in control and ruling for several thousands of years. So I'm going to follow with something on another clip that's for May 22nd called Marines Follow FEMA to Iowa Following Deadly Tornado Outbreak. God bless you and yours. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell, whichever, platform you're watching this on. I'm wishing you and yours everything the best and the highest. God bless you all. And I will see you when I see you. Bye for now.